Hello, how you doing?
I had me. Well, it's still safe to be hugged.
Yep. While it's hugs under threat.
Yeah. Having content.
I'm a huggy ass bitch, so it's all good. Can I say that on your channel, or will we have to
say
play
whatever.
it? Okay. All right.
We have lines, so we can
all
say
right.
whatever.
We're good. We're
That's
good.
nice.
Welcome. Thank you so much for coming.
I'm glad to be here.
I'm really glad to be here.
Yes, Desiree Burch. How you doing?
I'm doing well. You've got a fantastic town here, and I'm going to be real sad to leave it.
You've been here for a week?
I've been here, for nearly a week, almost a week.
Almost a week? What do you think in terms of Africa, South Africa? Is it your first time in Africa?
It is my first time on the continent, yes.
Yeah.
So this is the first place I've come. I'm excited to see more of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is really, it's everything, you know? Like, I mean, it's, you know, you've got the city. We did the sort of game drive today to go out and see animals. And it's one of those things where you're like, oh, I understand how all of civilization came from this land. Do you know what I mean? When you just see like the richness of that, and like everybody who lives here is just like, it's cool, it's cool, whatever.
That's how it is. You go to New York, it's cool.
It's cool, when you go to New York, everyone's like, it is not cool, none of it's cool.
Yeah, it's busy. Now you lived in New York, London.
Yeah.
Oh, where else have you lived? LA.
LA, those are the main three places. The other places are boring. Like I lived in Connecticut for a while. Nobody cares about that. You know what I mean? But like I go where the work is, because you know I'm on my own. Like my sort of performing is pretty much my life. So if there's a place that will have me, I want to go there. You know, I get to visit lots of amazing places, but my home now is South London.
And how long have you been doing stand-up for?
That's confusing. I came from a theater background.
Okay.
So like I did a lot of solo performance, kind of like storytelling, narrative, and I always did comedy and sort of stand up alongside it. And so, but I mean, stand-up has been my paying job for 5 years, but I've probably been doing it for like 12. Do you know what I mean?
Wow,
like,
that's
but it's like, you know, it was never the thing where I was out like, 3 shows a night, 5 nights a week. I'm like, I gotta do 2 jobs tomorrow.
What made you commit?
What made me?
What changed in that 5 years?
Honestly, I will be real with you. What changed was the fact that because I was known as a theater person in New York, you know, and that's what I was doing. What changed was the fact that it is a career in London that you can make enough money to live on. What changed is that I got a chance to not have to work a day job or 2 day jobs and do that, because like as long as you're doing that, like you can really hustle. But especially in New York, everyone's like, you're really great, keep going. But like it takes somebody to be like, no, I'm going to go ahead and put you on the show or put you on this thing to give you that. It really does take the lucky break.
That's very interesting.
It really does.
Because everyone moves to LA or New York for opportunities.
Yeah, and then they wind up with massive depression and sadness when they get there and realize that it's like, yes, there's a lot of opportunities, but there's so many people there after them, and there's just so many holes to fall into of you know, having meetings and talks, and here's another script that might be in development, and everybody basically is just sort of trying to see what is cool, and then they're like, oh, okay, we're gonna do that now. So it's you have to go to a place that's willing to take a risk, and I don't necessarily know how much LA is that place. You know what I mean, per se? Like you have to kind of have demonstrated a thing. So it's like people go there and then they're like, I'm making this really cool web series, and that works out for a small percentage, and everybody else just has another web series. You know what I mean? Not to diss web series, like, but some of them are fucking worthless.
How did you get the Flinch gig?
That was random. Like it was. I mean, I think I just been doing enough stuff in the UK, and the great thing about London is that there's like an in-between place for comics where you can make a living. Like where, like in America, it's like you're either like doing club sets for $25 and like on the road living in your car, or you've got a sitcom on ABC, and there's very little in between, right? Whereas in the UK, they have comedy panel shows and radio and all these other various things for comedians to work. And so I got the Flinch gig because you know, basically Netflix got in touch with my agent, and they were
wow.
I got an email.
So
they got in touch, and they were like, hey, we're interested in you for this new series. And I was like, the description of it, I was like, I don't know, you know, because it does sound like Fear Factor or like some other things that you're like, this is the kind of stuff that I feel like is horrible and a scourge on humanity. But actually, when we got to what it is, there was something I really loved about Flinch, because it is just about like a very small but very essential primal thing about humanity, which is like you have a basic sort of learned response to do this to stuff, and you're supposed to deny the urge that has kept you alive for so many years, for generation. Like, deny that and let us throw a washing machine at your face and don't flinch or we'll electrocute you. And you're like, that's so messed up, but
that's a crazy concept.
It really is.
It's a crazy concept. I'm sure as a comedian you've had like let me say, a person in the arts. You've had like different jobs.
Yes, right? So many.
What's the worst job you ever had?
I mean, the worst, like, I guess it depends on how you qualify worst. I've had so many fun ones. Like, I mean, like, the earlier ones are terrible. The ones where you get paid no money, or like, you know, when you're canvassing, when you're doing that like charity canvassing, and like you have to work on a commission. I remember when I was a teenager, I sold knives door to door, which is like, I'm lucky to be alive. I'm a black lady in white suburbia selling knives to grandmas. Like, I lasted for, I think, a day and a half. Before I was like, I'm literally showing up with a bunch of sharp knives, like, hey, do you want to buy these knives? No, nobody wants to buy your knives. Go away. The worst job, like, so many of them, but then sometimes it's like you have jobs that are pretty decent jobs. They're just terrible because of the people.
That's true.
I mean, that's usually what makes the job the worst job. It's like most jobs are like fine, the people make it horrific, you know. So I think there were some office jobs where, I mean, I don't know how many office jobs you had, but I'm always a person where it's like, you know, there's like, you know, 11 o'clock, there's like a long bathroom break, and then there's like a long poop break after lunch. And every time you're in the bathroom, I'm just sitting there under like halogen fluorescent lights, like, I'm dying. How do people do this? Like, I can see death happening in my face, and I don't understand how people do that. Like, some people are fine and they bring their lunch in their Tupperware.
I worked at a call center. That's the worst.
Yeah. Oh, I sold portraits of plans on the phone. So at a call center, that was really bad. Where it was like,
no visual.
Yeah, no, literally, like, do you want to buy a portrait plan for your family? And we've got all these plans. So you just call people at dinner time. They hate you, and you're trying to sell them photos that they don't need.
How did you get my number?
Hung up on all of the time. I mean, at least, so in a call center, were you selling or were you like helping them?
I was selling. I think
that's the worst.
Customer
service is one thing, because you just get screamed at, but at least you can do something. Selling stuff, it's just like, why are you alive? Leave us alone.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
That's crazy. So I got a couple of topics, right? I'm
Please.
just gonna throw it out there, and you can just give me a reaction.
Okay.
It's 2020. Trump.
Oh God. Oh God. Wait, what was the end of that question?
Is he gonna win?
I can't say what I feel is probably true. Because I don't want to speak this into existence, but I think we all know the answer to that question, and I am upset about it. I don't, like, part of it is my country, but I live in the UK, they dumb as fuck too. Part of it is Russia. You know what I mean? Let's be real. Like, you know, we've had some interference actually happen, and it stirred up the pot that was already contentious. It basically just sort of weaponized people that were already upset because they've had conservative governments for years that have drained all of their resources. So now they're upset and they're looking for a scapegoat, which is what communities do. And then you've got people on social media just feeding you information on who to hate. So like it was like a powder keg that someone was just like, fireworks. So I unfortunately, like, out of the two candidates, I think that Bernie represents more of my values than Biden does, but it's literally like, which one's gonna die first?
Do you think?
But you know what I mean? Like I mean, Bernie's doing okay, but he had a heart attack. But like, Biden's losing his goddamn mind.
I don't know what Biden's doing, but Bloomberg took him to another level.
Yeah, he really
was like,
did.
What are you?
Because if he really cared, he could have just paid Donald Trump to leave. right? Like he couldn't, like he's
True,
a real
right?
billionaire. He spent $500 million on the election, spent a full billion, and just be like, just get out of here.
He dropped out now.
Yeah, of course he did.
His legacy
just pay him
is
to go.
tainted.
Like all of these billionaires, I'm like, you know, when I mean literally, him and Jeff Bezos could send everyone in the world a face mask right now.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like if you really want to help, or do you just want to be important and have power?
That's really true.
Yeah.
Yeah, another one, Tinder.
Oh, I mean, okay, that's one of, it's, okay, look. So all the dating sites are like Tinder now. Yeah. That one seems to be like the pinnacle of the like meat market, like just meat on a hook coming around. And so I've stayed off of that one.
That's very funny.
Right, but
you know why?
Why?
Because most females, or my female friends, think they can actually find love on Tinder.
Because we
all my guy friends are like
looking for that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and like the thing is, if you are like, it seems like a great place to go to for that. Like, I used to have to go on to Craigslist when that existed for that, right? And I know. I mean, I didn't get stabbed, so it wasn't bad for all of us. But I'm just saying. But like, it seems like you know, supreme meat market level. I mean, most dating apps are trash at this point because I think part of it is that it just sort of feeds into us staying in our beds fantasizing about who we could be with and not actually ever making a move or doing anything about it. Unless it is hooking up. Like that's the one thing they're good for. It's just be like, do you want to bang? And we're like, yep. You're like, great. But it was like, oh, let's meet up and let's try to, you know? And like, how many times do you look at people's pictures and you're just like, oh my God, like, I just judge everyone. You know what I mean? Like my big things, well, you could tell me, because like when you look at women, I'm sure it's like all of the like filters where they all have like, you know, like ears and shit. And you're like,
apps and all.
And you're like, just show your face. Like no one's dating a filter. That's like a weird thing. For me, it's always like, guys do several things where it's kind of like the ones where they wear sunglasses in all their photos. And it's like, do you think the woman of your dreams wants to see your eyes, you fucking axe murderer? What's wrong with you? Like show your eyes. Or like the ones who always have numbers on their chest from having run in a race where I'm like, oh, look, you self-important piece of shit. We get it. You ran a charity fun run. Like, get over yourself. Like, I judge everyone on those things, but I think that's what they're for, and I think they make us worse people.
Cancel culture.
Cancel culture. Can we cancel it already?
Well, so Bill Cosby. Let's go. Bill Cosby, R. Kelly. Do you think they should be canceled?
I mean, look, I grew up with the Cosby Show. I'm glad that I was able to watch all of them before they were removed from the face of the earth. Bill Cosby done fucked up. He raped a lot of women, and that shit wasn't cool. And it sucks that everybody else on that show has to suffer, and the whole like legacy of the show has to suffer because he couldn't stop raping. But he couldn't stop raping. R. Kelly, did you watch the documentary?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, because I was like, I mean, Ignition's a great song though, and then I watched that documentary and I was like, man, fuck that guy. I was so mad at just like, oh my God. But like,
R. Kelly's huge in Africa. I don't think
everyone's gonna be pissed off about
R.
this.
Kelly
like,
is huge.
I mean, he's a really talented musician, and obviously, like Michael, he was someone who was abused. This is typical. People who are abusers or people who were abused.
I know about Michael.
We know what we can't bring up his name. But like, I think that an explanation is not an excuse. Do you know what I mean? But at some point, like, I think that we're on the front lines, like, in 100 years, like we don't remember the people who used to be like anti-Semitic or racist or whatever. We never know that. We just go like, oh, that was a really cool poem or a painting or whatever. You know, like we don't know that like these classical, you know, composers were all like pedophiles or whatever. So I don't know. Like right now, it is important for us to be upset about those things and to be like, this was facilitated by a lot of people supporting that, and we need to look at those institutions. But I don't know that in 50 or 100 years' time that undoes what that music or like, I mean, especially Michael. Like he changed all of music. Like without Michael, you don't have like a list. You know what I mean? You don't have K-pop. You don't have Justin Timberlake. You don't have Bruno Mars. You don't have Kendrick Lamar. Like so many people you don't have because you don't have him. But at the same time,
I don't think he did that. But let's not get into that.
He touched the shit out of them kids, though.
He didn't do it, okay?
Okay, sure.
The one in his catalog.
He didn't do it, but like.
Hey, anyway, moving on. Right? Who is your Mount Rushmore of comedy? Like,
oh,
which 4
wow,
comics
that's
would
a
be?
big, I would have to, that's a lot. Because, I mean, to be honest, Bill can't be on that Mount Rushmore. He's probably the first stand-up comic I saw. But I don't necessarily...
live or...
No, like when I was watching on TV. Yeah. But, like, I don't necessarily... He's not, like, my funniest or whatever. Like, I think everyone puts Pryor up there. I think he gets... and he is incredible. Yeah. Honestly, when I started getting into comedy, it was off of like bootleg Bill Hicks albums. Yeah. And I really, really love him. Yes. And so he's got to be up there. Yeah. But like, I also think about like, not just stand-up comedy, you know, I mean like, someone like Whoopi Goldberg was one of the first people that I saw doing like, you know, her special with the towel and the hair. But then I'm also like Carol Burnett. Like I grew up watching the Carol Burnett show as a kid and being like, I want to be a comic performer like that. So I don't know, you know, and then it's like, I mean, like, is there anyone funnier than Dave Chappelle? Like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't even know if it's possible, you know, but like.
I see some consistency in terms of Dave. Everyone's like, Dave.
I mean,
so Dave is the guy right now.
Because, well, I mean, and even though, like, you know, Dave's doing that thing where he's like, everyone's like, man, you're doing this thing where you're just being like, I'm gonna say what I want to say. I'm gonna say old people shit and just and diss on trans people, and it's like that's not cool. But like, he's still fucking funny. Do you know? And like,
he's the truth.
It's weird because I like anything, I'm sure we all go to stand-up gigs where we laugh at some stuff and we don't at other things. And like, that's okay. You know what I mean? I'm certain tonight that there are people who are laughing at me at some parts and not laughing at others. Like, it is okay to be offended or to not like a person's specific opinion on something and still like their other work. Do you know what I mean? People are complicated. Like, I don't think that someone's opinion on something means that they need to like not have a career anymore. I don't think that that's actually useful. You know, I think like it's more useful to like actually engage in that, and like, because sometimes especially comics grow and they go like, you know, I used to do this bit about this and then like I met some people or I realized and now it's this, and that's actually far more useful and powerful than just to be like, you don't get to have a voice anymore because I don't agree with everything you say. Like when people are like, oh, you're not really funny, it's like, I don't think that's a valid argument, because if you get paid to do comedy, then you're funny to someone. Like, just because someone's not funny to you doesn't mean that it's not funny.
Exactly.
Honestly, like, if it's not funny, we will stop telling that shit. The minute nobody's laughing at the jokes anymore, we stop telling it. But I do get, sometimes you're saying things and you're like, I don't really believe that. It's just the lowest common denominator joke and I can do better. So I think that it's useful to kind of be called out on something, but to be canceled, I don't think is necessarily great. I mean, on the other hand, someone like Louis C.K., who's amazing and hilarious, definitely could have done a better, like, he could have come out and just been like, he could have done a whole hour of like, I fucked up and I'm dumb and dumb.
I miss him. Like,
yes, we all do. But
like,
he still actually hasn't quite like gotten what the problem is and like why he, you know what I mean? Like he could have really, people were ready for him to be redeemed. Do you know what I mean? And
how about
really
Ari with the Kobe thing?
What's that? Sorry?
Ari, you know Ari Sharif?
Oh, no. What's this bit?
Kobe passed away.
Yeah.
And he did a video like, oh, fuck Kobe, I'm glad he passed away. Fuck that rapist.
Well, I mean.
And it was like, oh, there's this comedy. It's like, it's not really funny.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, too. It's also like, just because you said it, like, and it's controversial, it doesn't make it funny yet, too. Like, I mean, I have a friend who was like that immediately afterward. I hadn't heard all of that stuff. And she was like, Kobe, do you know what I mean? Like, and all this other stuff, and he did this, and I was like, whoa, I actually had never heard that stuff. So, like, I think that that's useful, but also you still need to make it a joke. So, like, I will actually look at this video because I hadn't seen it before.
That's crazy. Last words for the fans out there, because I'm sure you're gonna have like a lot of fans.
I hope so. I love y'all. I cannot wait to come back. I would like to, no, I'm not going to apologize for what I said about R. Kelly and Michael, but I still believe in all of you, and I hope that you can believe in me, and we can figure out a way to communicate and make the world better through laughter, or at least listening to each other a little bit more, because I think we're missing a little bit of that these days. Your town's dope. It's warm all the time. I want to live here. Bring me back.
Perfect. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so, wait, I didn't, what are we, I don't even know. What are we doing? Thank you so